Hi there everybody, it's Verity here from inkybutterfly.com. Thanks for joining me today for another card making tutorial. It has been a little while, but I hope you're sticking around and you see this come up and continue to support my channel. Today we're doing something really nice and simple. I'm going to recreate something like this, and this uses the Sending Smiles bundle photopolymer stamp set with coordinating dies. So these are in the current Stampin Up annual catalogue, and you can purchase these individually or together as a bundle, and when you do that you actually save 10% on the combined price. So all the details of that will be in the description. Just have a click down there and you can the link will take you directly to my store, my Stampin' Up store for that. Okay, and then the rest of it is inspired by the creative colour challenges that's run by Vicky Lou Designs. So the colour combo that we've got this week is Shaded Spruce, Daffodil Delight and Real Red. So you know, you're kind of instantly drawn to Christmas when you've got red and green together, but I decided to go with Sending Smiles and do something really super simple. So this isn't going to take very long to do. Okay, it's really nice, nice simple card. Okay, all right. So just going back to some sort of Verity basics, if you like. Haven't done this for a while using what I call my mini layers. Okay, so I'm just going to show you quickly. The card base is the normal card base, so you can slice an A4 sheet to make two card bases. If you're going to do both, then I would recommend scoring first at 5 7/8 and then cutting the width as you require, which is 4 1/8 of an inch for me. You may prefer to use different card sizes, and if you're in America you've got your letter sizes to do your card bases with, so yours are slightly shorter and fatter than ours. So that's how we cut a card base, and then I'll just talk you through. So a full card layer, which is this black layer, that would be 4 inches across, so 1/8 of an inch shorter and narrower, so it's 4 by 5 3/4, and then if you want a mat on that, you've got 1/8 of an inch smaller on there. Okay, so I'm using Daffodil Delight this time to introduce another little bit of pop of colour. And then these layers are 1 inch shorter and narrower than the corresponding layers. So the outer layer, the two black layers, they're 1 inch shorter and narrower. So that's 3 1/8 by 4 7/8 of an inch, and the white layer again is 1 inch shorter and narrower. Okay, which is 3 by 4 3/4. Okay, so those are the layers. I've already matted them onto the black already using my trusty Stampin' Seal. I like this because it's quick and easy to do. So we can layer this onto our card because we're not doing any stamping directly onto any of our layers. We're just going to do that on a separate piece and die cut it all out, which gives us a lot of sort of freedom. So once you've stamped on something, oops, bit of black sort of cardstock dust there. Just using a bone folder just to make sure that that's all nice and secure, and we can do the same with this one. Sorry, it's all like black fluff. Oops. Brand new refill in that adhesive, so sometimes the first few runs of that just go a little bit awry, so it's fine. Once you've used it a couple of times, it behaves itself. It's worth getting used to, actually. It's just so nice and quick, and I just get myself in a mess with wet glue. Okay, so that's our layering done, so we can sort of forget about that until we've got everything else die cut. So I'm just going to bring in a small piece of basic white. This is just an offcut from the the scrap bin. Got all the stamps already on blocks, so this will be nice and quick and easy. So like I say, real red, shaded spruce and daffodil delight. So let's just do our stem, light tapping on the ink pad. I'm not even sure, am I, with that. If you've never stamped before, these are foam stamp pads, absolutely sodden in ink. That looks black, doesn't it? But it's not. And you take your stamp to the ink pad and just lightly tap. There is no pressure on that. I'm just lightly tapping on it so it makes contact with that foam. And you can see it's covered in ink because it shows green on these clear stamps, these photopolymer stamps. We do have red rubber ones as well, so you won't be able to see that, but you'd be able to see it on the surface if you lifted it over. It's important to wipe your stamps clean as well. So I've just got a little doodad off to my left, which is called the Stampin' Chamois. Light tapping, real red. Stampin' Chamois, just really nice, quick and easy way to get your stamps clean. It's just wet, or damp I should say, with water. And with my red inks I do like to get that off nice, and you might hear it squeaking in the background actually. Nice and clean straight away. And then I'm just using a little bit of the Daffodil Delight just to pop in this stamp that creates a centre for the flower. Okay, and you know what, if you miss a little bit, you can always go over it, it's fine, it's not a bother. So the beauty of these clear photopolymer stamps is that you can see right through it and get the positioning. It's a bit more tricky when I'm filming because ideally I want to have my head there, right over the top of the image, but you are there, so I just have to adjust for that a little bit. Okay, so that's our three colours. Just to add in a little extra something, I'm actually going to do the sort of companion sentiment also in the red, just to introduce that additional bit of colour on there. So straight down and up, the sentiments will stamp beautifully. And again, just trying to get that, making sure that red ink's off that stamp. The red inks stain photopolymer stamps, and it doesn't affect them in any way, shape or form. They still stamp and they still perform as they should. It just drives me a bit bananas with my so it's just a personal thing. It's just yeah, I like my clear stamps to stay as clear as possible personally. And then we just need to stamp our sending. So for that we're going to use the Memento Tuxedo Black ink. This is a water-based ink, slightly different to the other inks, which are the Stampin' Up classic ink pads. This has a felt pad on it. Now I find this one easier to take the pad to the stamp to make sure it's really well covered, because that felt has a bit of a texture to it, and I just want to make sure that it's really well inked and you can see that it is. And again, we want to pop that down onto the cardstock, straight down. Don't rock it backwards and forwards or anything, because you might get a double image, or if there's some straight ink on the edge of the stamp, you could pick that up. So good firm pressure all the way down, nice and even, and then straight back up, and you get a lovely, lovely image. So now we want to die cut these. So so there's dies in the set there. So we want to place these over the top with the ridge side down. Now let me just grab one of the other ones to show you what I mean by that, in case you're new and you've got no idea what I'm talking about. In fact, the lettering is probably the best one to show you. Okay, so I'm going to tape it down so that I can see this sort of flat shiny side, but on the other side there is this ridge. That is what does the cutting. Okay, and it does it through pressure. So we're going to roll it through our die cut machine, and it's going to apply pressure, and that ridge is going to be enough to cut through the cardstock. Okay. So it's not sharp. I can pinch this and it's not going to cut me, but the sheer pressure that is applied when we use a die cut machine, which is sort of like a mangle if you like, it kind of rolls it through between two rollers to apply that pressure, squeezes it. Okay, and then we've got one for our flower. I'm just holding these in place with some low tack tape, which happens to be retired washi tape in this particular instance. You can use post-it notes or something like that as well. Something that's not very tacky. You can't use sellotape or anything because that will tear your cardstock. It's too sticky. You want something low tack. Low tack decorator's tape is good. It is a brand, but frog tape, the decorator's tape that's low tack for your woodwork and stuff, that works. So once you've got all those in place, you want to run it through the die cut machine. Now a die cut machine is something like this. This is the mini one. So I've got a bigger version of this just off to the right here. Okay, and it has two platforms that fold out. So does the big one. This is exactly a miniature of the big one. So the two platforms fold out. And then in there, in this slot here, there are two rollers at the top and the bottom, and you slide, you roll with the handle, you roll it through, and it'll apply the pressure and cut this for you. So I've got to use the big machine, which looks exactly like that, but bigger. So it's too big to get into shot, but I just wanted to show you what it looked like. And then we have to use these platforms and plates, they call them, plates for your machine. So all the plates that you need come with the Stampin' Cut and Emboss. Okay, so number one you always need, regardless of whether you're cutting or embossing, that is there, it is always there. Number two plate is just for die cutting, so when you're using these, okay, if you're doing any kind of embossing with an embossing folder, so an embossing folder looks like this. It's like a plastic folder that you sandwich your card in, and by applying the pressure you get a nice texture on your cardstock, which is super cool. But if you're doing that, you don't need the number two. If you're die cutting, you need number two, and it is the die cutting. Okay. And then you use a pair of number threes. So these are the things you cut into. This should be clear. A bit more like that, okay. But over time, all the cut marks and stuff get into it, and that is just the sign of a well-loved die cut machine. So that's what you need. You then place your things you want to cut onto here. The important thing is that you don't want two dies cutting over each other. You're not going to damage your dies unless you try and die cut your dies by having them overlapped. Then you want a second plate on top, and this is what we call our die cutting sandwich. So it's easy as 1, 2, 3. Okay, so over time they do warp and bend and things, so I'm going to pop that the other way around. Okay, and that's fine. The clear plates, the number 3 plates, you will need to replace over time, but they're not expensive. They come as a pair as well. So what I generally do is, as you probably gathered from that shot there, is I use one of the plates as the bottom plate all the time. Okay, and when it gets to a point where it's so cut into or so warped, I want to swap it out. This one becomes my new bottom plate, and I get a brand new top plate. So you're sort of cycling through your plates, if that makes sense. So we can now take apart our sandwich. Okay, all right. So there's our dies out of the way, and that's beautifully cut out. Okay, and we can just pop all of those out, and it's super easy. You just use your fingers. Some of the more intricate die cuts might require you to use like a little sort of pokey tool, like a little like a bradawl, something like this, to help poke them out, but most of them will just pop out really nice and easy anyway. just because of the quality of the die cut that you get. So these are all going to layer onto our card, but we're going to pop them up and give them a bit of dimension, and we're going to do that with the mini dimensionals. Okay, so dimensionals are the Stampin' Up foam adhesive cut into these cute little hexagons. So the large dimension, I don't generally make a card without dimensionals. Okay, so if you see a completely flat card from me, that is a rarity. So the large ones are, I don't know, they're about a centimetre, aren't they? Half inch or something. Great for layering and all that kind of stuff, and bigger things. 100 on a sheet, but you can use all the edging strip as well. So they're good for sentiments and everything. You get 3 sheets in a pack, and then you get the minis as well. So these are about half the size, so they're good for these little smaller things. Now with the big guys, I don't find it necessary to use this pokey tool thing, but I just find it a little bit easier with these little tiny ones. So I'm just popping these strategically on the back of here, because obviously you don't want them to show on the front of your card. So but you want to offer, you want to give it enough support. Okay, and then put a couple on the back of here, so these lend themselves beautifully to these little skinny die cuts. So we can pop those to one side. So those have all got the dimensionals added to them, and we can bring it in our card base. Lots of fluffies on my desk today. I need to give it a clean. Okay, so here's the sample card. Okay, now it's up to you. If you wanted to move the positioning of this, we could move it off to the other side. Shall we do that just to see how it looks? So the sort of stem sort of bends over, if you like. So I'm just going to, rather than do it one by one, I'm going to just get all those backings off here. Really easy to do. Okay. These are really easy to use, these foam squares. I've crafted for many years, and I really like the Stampin' Up dimensionals. So bearing in mind we're going to pop a flower head on there, you want to position that where you want it, and actually going off the edge isn't, I quite like the things going off the edge of my layers. It sort of just keeps things interesting. Okay, pop that on however you want, maybe something like that. Pop on our sentiment, which is going to help secure anything that hasn't got a dimensional underneath it, because that's only got a couple on, but it's been anchored there by that, and then it's going to be anchored across the bottom here with this larger sentiment. Try and get it something like straight. Okay, and then we can just pop this guy in underneath. Again, try and get it something like straight. And again, this is where I would normally try and get my head right over the top of that. So that looks about right to me. Okay, that's it, simple pimple. Okay, so just bringing in that pop of yellow. Don't know, what do you think? Do you like it? It's a bit more daring for me. Have to say I do like the clean look of the white, but you know, I'm just offering you options, and of course we're within the bounds of a colour challenge, so I don't want to introduce anything else, but there's obviously other options you could use and play about with your colours accordingly. Alright, so I hope you've enjoyed that. Do pop by the creative colour challenges and see if you fancy having a go. All you need to do is upload a photo. You don't need a blog or anything. You can just click on the thing and it just says upload your photo or something along those lines. Just do it on your phone, click upload it, and you can have the honour and kudos of being declared a winner. So there you go, a little bit of fun for you. And even if you don't want to particularly enter your card into the competition, you can also you could just use it as a creative kickstart for your crafting. Okay, thanks for joining me today. I hope you're all well, and keeping safe. Okay, take care, and I hope to see you soon. All right, take care. Bye.